Hi, my name is Jill Jackson. I started with the Shakespeare Festival in 1989. I was the assistant director of Pericles. Steve Chambers, aka Chamber Stevens, and I had known each other all through high school, and I was moving back from LA and he was moving to LA, and he's like, I started the Shakespeare Festival, want to do it? And I was like, sure. So I started as assistant director then, and then Chambers moved on, and I was the director of the next several years of shows and was on the board and got introduced to the incredible group of theater artists who were working in Nashville, and talked them into letting me sort of like stand next to them and smile. And so we started the Shakespeare Festival, and also Dark Horse Theater, and did new plays there, original works, and also avant-garde pieces, and then kept going with Shakespeare in the Park. So I like to think that there are founders who invent things from scratch, like Steve and Ty, and that there are folks who grow the festival. So I think I was one of the growers. And then there are people who sustain the festival, like Donald and Denise and Tony and Robert, who have kept it going for all these years, thankfully, for Nashville. So that's my story.
Hi, I'm Donald Caparella. I've been involved with the festival from the beginning, more on the periphery in the first couple of years. I sort of helped produce and did some of the legal work behind the scenes. And then in the third year, when Steve Chambers left and some other of the original starters left, Jill and I and Jane Perry kind of got together one day for dinner and said, should we keep doing this? And we said, yes, I'll raise money, I said. And she said she'd direct, and Jane would produce or count money or whatever. She did a bunch of stuff too. And we had Denise involved that year. That was a big thing, getting Denise Six involved. And so we decided we were really going to make it something that would last, raise money, make it a professional company. And I've directed, I've produced, I've carried a bucket around, I've raised a lot of the money, and played with this wonderful festival now for 30 years in a row, and that's sort of my role, I guess.
Hey, I'm Ellie Dupre, and I was a volunteer for the first show, As You Like It in the Park. And Shakespeare in the Park has stayed a huge part of my life. In St. Louis, where my kids have been enormously involved in the Shakespeare Festival of St. Louis, which is a huge production, but a lot younger than Nashville Shakespeare Festival.
I'm Ty Brown. I'm a co-founder of the Shakespeare Festival, but actually the very first year it was a theater company called, hang on, that's my ride, just right over there, guys, right over there. It was called Theater Revolution, and I was a producer for the first play we did, which was not Shakespeare, and then we decided to do Shakespeare in the Park, and the first show was As You Like It. And my fondest memory of that, we couldn't get the band shell. They wouldn't let us have that. They wouldn't let us have amplified sound. We tried to borrow lights from Theater Parthenos, which was a Greek theater that performed on the steps of the Parthenon. So we had to improvise, and Chambers, who was directing, decided that first we obviously had to start very early because we didn't have lighting. It still got dark by the end, so in the last scene he directed a pickup truck to drive into the stage area with the headlights on, and that was our lighting for the rest of the scene. And that pretty much sums up how that experience went.
Hi, I'm Shannon. I was on the board of Dark Horse Theater and Shakespeare Festival long ago and far away when we were all together, and we were trying to do the Shakespeare in the Park and the Shakespeare in the schools and the weekend kids that came and did things at Dark Horse and main stage shows at Dark Horse and play readings, and we were all having other full-time jobs, and it was a little insane, but it was an amazing time, and so I remember it well. Thanks.
Hi, I'm Phil Perry. I was in the first 3 productions. I was in As You Like It, and Pericles, and Mary Wives of Windsor. I played Pericles in Pericles. And one of my favorite memories from that time was actually it was about 10 years or 15 years after that. I was working at the booth back here. A woman came up and she recognized my face. She said, "You played Pericles, didn't you?" And I said, "Yeah." She said, "You know, my kid went to that show every night. He loved it. For weeks after that, he played Pericles in his backyard. And now he's like in college." So I thought that was pretty darn cool, and I'm just so happy to be here.
Hello, my name is Tony Mcallister, and I'm a board member of the Nashville Shakespeare Festival. I was involved in the beginning. In 1988, when the festival first started, I was an audience member. One of the ones that got to pull my car up on the grass, turn the headlights on so we could watch the second act. Nobody realized it was going to get dark. In the second show in '89 was Pericles, with Phil Perry back over here dressed as Superman playing Pericles. I was Bolt. I was running a house of ill repute in the show. I also argued with Don Lover being the first person to raise money for the Shakespeare Festival. I got my then employer Ingram to write a $250 check, and I brought it out here and gave it to Steve Chambers, as he was known then, for donations for the show. Pericles was a lot of fun. We enjoyed it, and we had probably, I don't know, a couple hundred people see us for the whole entire run. The third year was in 1990, and that's when we did Merry Wives of Windsor. I was a fight choreographer in that, and I directed a fight between a book and a sword. It was very exciting. Jill and I worked on that hard in her backyard, and then we brought it out here to the park and taught the actors how to do it. It was a lot of fun at that time. Probably my favorite memory of the whole festival is doing Comedy of Errors and building the chase scene in Comedy of Errors with Jill as the director, and I was assistant director. Followed up closely by Macbeth when I directed that first production of that in 1995. That was a day or two ago. I had black hair back then. So anyway, that's it. I love being here 30 years later, and I plan on being here 30 years from now. Thank you very much.